All right. It's like we never left. We're already running late.
Welcome back to the Fun and Interactive Artifact Podcast, everybody.
Artifact podcast. Listen, just because I took a trip doesn't mean that everything's changing. Hello, everybody.
It's good to be back.
If you've got your Twitch chat set up in a way where the faces that I spammed just now overlap, my favorite thing about Justin's new emotes here is that it either makes it look like Justin is eating CVH's head or like CVH is slowly peeking out of Justin's head, and both of which tickle me greatly.
Yeah, they were pretty good.
But yes, welcome back. It's been a few weeks, and that's entirely my fault because I traveled halfway around the world to help cast an artifact tournament. I'm back now.
You're also a fashion pioneer.
Oh, are you breaking out gloves? Is that look? Do I have to? I got them right here, man. I brought them home.
Did you really?
The We Play people were kind enough to give me the gloves and the shirt. So
That's amazing.
if need to, I can put these on. If we get like, a massive amount of subs in one night or something, I can throw the gloves on, or yeah. Here, let me get my paramilitary outfit. Here, look at this. See the old Charmer name? They let me keep it.
It's really nice. I like it. My webcam done got all blurry, by the way. There we go. I'm in focus now. Yeah, I like your jacket, man. The wardrobe there was pretty sweet.
Yeah. I mean, listen, there was like different levels of expectations. I took a couple of suits with me that I thought would be needed for casting. Ended up not needing them for casting. I took a suit with me. I actually was just on a different podcast earlier today as a guest, but it was for Artifact. But we were talking about our day of filming, and on our handbook, it just said Media Day. And it said we were going to do some filming for some promos and then talk to journalists. Like, that's what the handbook said. So I dressed in a suit because that sounded like appropriate attire. And then instead, we drove like 30 minutes to rural, like not on paved roads, but like dirt roads, Ukraine. And I stepped out into a warehouse that was like filled with people actually working and like actively shipping, and this thing had like locked doors and you had to be buzzed into places. And then some guy comes in and says, who wants to pick their guns? And he literally opens a bag and there's like a table full of guns. And because again, they didn't give us context ahead of time, right? So it was an interesting experience, but at the end of it, all of the We Play people were incredibly nice and fantastic to work with, but yeah, it was something else.
And that's what's up, dude.
But they let me keep the gloves.
That's awesome. I remember getting feeling like I was uncomfortably crossing some kind of line when we were doing the Master Series, and I would ask for snacks after the broadcast had stopped.
Yeah. To kind of put that into perspective, right? I wish I was making this up. At one point, Suns fan turns to Swim and just says, "Man, I'm really craving a Dr. Pepper right now."
Yeah.
Didn't say it to anybody, just said that. And then like a half hour later, somebody showed up with a case of Dr. Pepper for Suns fan.
Oh, I know.
Like, when I say they went out of their way to make us feel comfortable, they were very, very, very hospitable and like conscious of the fact that we'd all flown halfway around the world. They did everything they could to make it feel like home. So much so that they made it be winter there for me. So I was feeling great.
I mean, they were so concerned about your security, they even placed the entire country into under martial law while you were there.
That is also true. Yes.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. It's very kind of them to take my security and welfare so seriously.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if anything, I think we can trust that the Ukraine is pretty protective of the parts of their country they have left. So.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully they're in Kiev. Like, it didn't really impact me at all.
Yeah.
Kiev was a beautiful city. I keep describing it as like Eastern European cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Even though Ukraine has only been a country for a very short period of time, like with
Yeah.
its own independence, historically it's got like 2,000 years of history or something like that. So
Right.
you can keep going from like,
Wow. Since the beginning of the world.
yeah, basically. So like
Wow.
you go from like city block to city block, and it's, here's this old Orthodox cathedral next to stuff that was built during the Soviet era, next to modern skyscrapers, next to
Wow.
this was like, this is a rebuilt section after the Mongolians sacked the city, right? And it's all just on top of
Wow.
each other. And so, I shared on, I think, Twitter and in my Discord some pictures where, like, you could look across my street and see this old, beautiful, like, church cathedral. And then out a different window is the skyscraper that, like, lights up the night sky with another one that, like, glows purple behind it. And that was the best way I could describe the city, Kiev. It was wonderful. And they took us routinely to really cool restaurants and bars, but every one of them is the sort of thing where it was like an adventure. I keep saying it was like Harry Potter for adults, where you have to like know where it is. So like the very first one, on the day we're like jaunting around the city,
Yeah.
we had a group of people with us, like Eugene was with us, and then our handler, her name was Valerie. She was hired literally just to like take care of us. We jokingly but affectionately started calling her mom towards the end, because she spoke English very well. And so they take us to this place where there's like steel doors covered with graffiti, and it looks like they open into an alley, right? And they open these, and then it takes you down like a dark tunnel covered with graffiti. And then when you come out the other side, to your right is giant cages filled with pet ravens, and to your left is a building that looks like it's barely standing. But then when you go in that building, it is a beautiful coffee bar with like chessboards out and mirrored walls, and the guy serving us was drawing art on the coffee he served and was wearing a red flannel and had a beard. He looked like a hipster straight from Seattle, but just like in this, like you take a dark alley through graffiti and it's next to ravens in a cage, right? That sort of thing. And then we had another one where like we go to lunch, and Valerie takes us underground, right? And there's like some shops and stuff. Kind of reminded me of like in Boston. Do you remember how like we would go underground there?
Yeah.
It was kind of like that. But then you go around a couple of turns, and then it looked like just emptiness, right? Like it's a long hallway, and there's like nothing marked, and it kind of looks like where I would expect janitors or maintenance to be, right? Mm-hmm. And we come to this door that just has no markings on it, and there's a number on it. And Valerie knocks on the door, and then turns to Suns Fan and says, when they ask for a password, say, and then she said something in Russian. And Suns Fan naturally started to give her the weirdest look I've ever seen anyone give, like, ever, because that's not what you expect a human being to say to you. And before he has time to even process this, the door opens. There is a bald dwarf on the other side.
What?
And he asks for a password. And Suns Fan says, I don't. And so she says the Russian like phrase again. And so he repeats it to the best he can. The dwarf says, "Hey!" And he throws his hands up and like waves us in. And so then we step in, and inside it's still all brick walls with two giant black curtains at the end.
Okay.
And he motions us towards the black curtain on the left. And when you step in through there, there's like this really like industrial looking co-ed bathroom that had like stone urinals and like rebar gates. And there was also a coat check. And so we check our coats, and then we go out of that and we go in through like the black curtains that were on the right. And then it's this beautiful, gorgeous restaurant and bar and grill, and they served wonderful food, and everybody was nice. And they had like one-sided glass, so you could actually see into a shopping mall, so you could see where people were. And it was just like, I went underground and spoke a password to a dwarf to get here. Like, how is this real life? And then even on the last day for the after party, they took us to this bar called the Alchemist Bar. That again, you had to go like downstairs to this underground like back alley, and it opens into a tiny bar that didn't look like it was going to fit everybody at all.
Mm-hmm.
And there was somebody playing like music from the 50s, and there was like nobody there, right? And so the guy who's like the DJ in this entrance area that we all thought was the real bar, like points us down this hallway to the left where there's again a bathroom and a coat check, and we check our coats, and then you walk to the end of that hall, and there's this really cool but old bookcase, and Eugene says, "Oh, here's the bar," and he opens the bookcase like straight out of Harry Potter, and there's this
Wow.
beautiful bar on the other side, and they had food in there and like tables just for us. And
Wow.
so the moral of this is, when I die in like a month, because I've
Yeah.
like wandered down a dark alley in Detroit thinking I'm going to find a cool restaurant, it's
Right.
because Ukraine spoiled me into thinking that that's what you have to do to find all of the best places,
Damn.
you know?
All right. I mean, it's no volcano, but that's a great story. That's great, man.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I'm glad to hear it, dude.
But
It's kind of a big time for esports in general. I mean, like, there's been a lot of huge announcements recently.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. But while I was gone, there was a lot of stuff that happened, both with Legends and just with like esports in general, specifically card games, which is what I wanted to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
Which is like, first and foremost, we got a monthly card. We haven't had a chance to talk about the monthly card yet. And then we also had some tournaments pop up for Legends, right? Like Warp Meta stuff. I hear somebody awesome is going to be casting one tomorrow.
I will be doing the casting with Silverfuse, I think, tomorrow. Yeah.
Yep, that should be great. And
Looking forward to it.
there was the women's only tournament, which is a really cool endeavor.
I think that's really cool too. I actually thought about offering to help that in some way, and then I realized like it's probably not my place to do commentary for that show.
Yeah, probably not.
But I mean, I wanted to support it in some way because I think it's a really cool idea, and I wish more games did stuff like that.
Yeah, I feel like it was either Hearthstone or Magic did something like that recently. Because it was on my Twitter feed. There was another game that had done something similar. Maybe it was Gwent. I don't know. But another card game did something similar recently.
People still play Gwent?
Yeah, believe it or not, people still play Gwent.
Wow. I thought it got relaunched for a second time, and now it's called Artifact.
I mean, it might feel that way, but
yeah.
So we had the monthly card that we have to talk about, tournaments, local community stuff popping up, but then just like in the greater scheme of things, Artifact, obviously because I went to cast it, had a big constructed tournament, and there are more that are being announced, right? So I was in the We Play one that had a 10 grand tournament. We Play's already got another one that's a 15 grand tournament, and then a 25 grand tournament that are following that up. And the C Story, I always mispronounce it, Cup is currently underway for that. There's also the China like esports scene for Artifact has just recently started their league, and I know some other stuff are coming down the pipe, and that's all just third-party stuff for Artifact. That's not even counting money that Valve will likely put into it, because we know that they've got their big like quarter one TI, if you will. But outside of Artifact, or maybe as a result, one could argue that might be the case. Hearthstone is almost doubling their total prize pool for 2019. The last article, I was gonna say, last article I read said Hearthstone had like 2.3 million in prizes for 2018, and they're looking for more than 4 million for 2019. Magic has announced they are essentially redoing the Pro Tour and how the Hall of Fame works and all of that. It's going to be a full overhaul. But the total, both digital and physical Magic, will have a combined like 10 million in prizes for 2019. So a lot of big announcements from card games, which is great in my opinion. I think competition is good. That's how you get funds and features and everything to influx in. And I'm hoping that will, kind of kickstart things for some of the other ones.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot going on with esports in general, as far as I think, and I think like tying it to what's going on with Artifact is a reasonable thing to be saying. I mean, MTG Arena is getting incorporated into the Magic professional scene, the tournament scene, and Hearthstone I think is reacting to Artifact as well. Um, I'm eagerly anticipating some kind of Legends announcement. I mean, I know that the Master Series was a huge success. I mean, it was the numbers were incredible on Twitch. Viewership was through the roof. I think probably the most viewed Legends event we've ever done as a community. But no word yet on that.
Yeah, no official word yet. So, I mean, listen, I'm clearly biased because I got to participate, at least as a caster in the last one, and I had a wonderful time. But like, I would love to see it come back in some way, shape, or form.
Totally. I mean, I think it was great for like players of all like across the spectrum, right? Because I mean, there is this like concern, and like in fact, the day before Magic announced this like total revamp of their competitive scene. There was this really interesting like essay going around, the card game Twitterverse, about how Hasbro made a calculated decision about 10 years ago with Magic to dial back their support for their professional scene and focus on the people playing Magic at the kitchen table or at FNM and stuff like that. And I was like, this is a really compelling argument. And then the very next day, Magic announced this huge $10 million thing. It announces this big dive into esports with MTG Arena. So I'm kind of going back and forth on like where I fall on these issues, because what I loved about the Master Series was that you had the best Legends players in the world competing, but you also had like for some reason they were able to engage with the general audience, like the guys who play on their cell phone like once or twice a week. They were in the audience for that. I mean, both of us saw and heard from people who had never like heard of like or paid attention to any content creators in this game, like suddenly become engaged with Legends as a result of that tournament.
Yeah, I think that tournaments serve a lot of different purposes. In many ways they're like marketing. They're also a way to keep your, most hardcore of your entrenched players kind of happy, right? You give them that carrot on a stick.
Mm-hmm.
And there's clearly, I think, a lot of positives, but, they're expensive too, right? Like those events, I
Right.
mean, let's not kid ourselves, right? Like they are expensive.
Well, yeah. I mean, they don't directly generate any revenue,
Yeah.
right? So you just hope that it is more effective than the money you would then spend if you spend a comparable amount of money on some sort of more traditional advertising. Um, and that's information that like we don't have access to, so I don't know if it worked or not.
Yeah.
But you know what? There was this momentum going with Legends after the Master Series, um, that kind of got ran into a wall with the client change, right? So it'd be interesting to know what would have happened if the client change, the client switch had been super smooth and everybody's really impressed initially, or even if it hadn't happened at all, or what a Masters 2 might do to the community.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I clearly don't work at Bethesda and I don't know what their plans are or anything like that, but like in an ideal world, personally, uh, I'd like to see them announce more support, even if it's not the same as the other people, like just to publicly say, like, we see what other people in the industry are doing, and we're increasing our presence in the space. But even more so from like a planning standpoint, yeah, you're 100% correct, right? We had the Master Series. I think we had a lot of good momentum. People were excited about the game. People were talking about it. Even, and I
Mm-hmm.
think about like the articles that were written from like people interviewing Will or interviewing CVH about like, potential futures for the
Right.
game and in esports. And there was that forward momentum. I would love to see something like that
Yeah.
followed up by a major expansion announcement, teaser
Yeah.
season, and then launch. Like instead of it being like we have the Master Series and then we run into the client change, imagine a world where you have the Master Series and then as people are doing the like interviews or whatever, right? Like
Right.
when somebody sits down with CVH after the Master Series and CVH says, well, we've got something coming, stay tuned. And then like a week later, they, announce a big pack expansion, and then you get like
Right.
2 weeks or a month of like reveals and hype, and then you launch something to like gauge
Yeah.
interest. Like in my mind, like using that forward momentum to kind of continue forward and steamroll, I think is ideal, right? Like if I was
I agree.
just wishing on some genie or something, that's what I would like to see. But
I was laughing as you were talking because the Master Series feels like a lifetime ago, you know. Um, but we have, I mean, like we got Frostbark, we got 2 monthly reward cards, but really we haven't had any new content since the Master.
yeah. Oh, also, I'm kind of chuckling because it feels like a lifetime ago, but it was like 3 months ago.
Was it 3 months ago?
August. So I guess we're coming up on 4.
Okay. Okay.
But not even half a year is my point, right?
Fair enough. Fair enough. I can't believe I've been subbed to you for a fucking year.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong
That
with
actually
you.
blows my mind. Like I can't. I'm shocked.
I don't know why anyone would sub to me for a year.
Well, it's free. I mean.
Oh yeah, there you go. Now's a great time for me to remind everybody that if you have Twitch Prime or Amazon Prime, you can sub for free, and you should do so.
Sounds like a great time for me to vape.
Kappa. Oh. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited when I see, even if it's not Legends, I'm excited whenever I see big money esports news because, again, competition I think is good for everybody. Yeah, you're like competing for a lot of the same players in terms of like market share and things like that. But at the end of the day, your game's not going to get better unless there's another game kind of pushing the envelope, forcing them to get better. Like there's a reason that the Hearthstone competitive scene wasn't, like it was there and like it was okay, but it wasn't great and it wasn't really increasing. And then a couple of competitors show up and suddenly Hearthstone makes an announcement and then everybody else announces on top of their announcement. And there's a bit of an arms race going on right now, but the person who benefits the most from that is us, the players.
It's worth pointing out too, like Hearthstone is just enjoyable to watch.
No.
Right? And no,
I'm going to disagree with you. I'm sorry. Like, I know that, listen, I don't want to bash anybody's game. If you enjoy Hearthstone, then good on you. But me, personally, I do not enjoy watching Hearthstone. I don't enjoy really playing it anymore because it just doesn't engage me. And the only time that I do watch it is if it's somebody whose personality I like is playing it. Like, I'm not saying I won't watch Hearthstone. But I'm not watching it because it's Hearthstone, and I don't enjoy watching it.
I gotta be honest, man. I still watch people play Hearthstone on YouTube. I don't play. Haven't played in a long time. I mean, like I maybe played a game or two here over the last couple of years, but yeah, I still like watching people play Hearthstone because it's those highlight reel moments, man. Like it's like when I go to these YouTube channels to watch people play Hearthstone, I can expect to see like an interception and a sack and a fucking 99-yard touchdown in every fucking game.
I mean, sure, but like, I don't know. When I want to scratch that itch, I can do a couple of things. One, I could just watch a highlight reel video that's like 3 minutes long and that would scratch my itch and then I'm done. Or, like, I'm not even joking. I would rather go back to like historical Legends videos and watch like Legends highlights than Hearthstone because it's just, I don't know, it's just more engaging to me. A lot of it's just aesthetic. Like one of the things that always kind of bothered me about Hearthstone going long back to like when I did play it more was I don't mind the bright colors, I don't mind the presentation, but there was the fact that the game itself didn't take itself seriously has kind of always bothered me, right? Like it was the World of Warcraft card game, and so I kept expecting it back when I was playing it to like mimic the World of Warcraft. And then when the first expansion, Gnomes and Goblins came out, and it was like not, it was cheeky stuff and weird references and not, I don't know. It's just always kind of bugged me the way that they present the universe of Hearthstone, if you will. So Again, an entirely personal thing. Doesn't mean it's not great for everybody else. I don't want to, bash it or whatever. But
Well, look, Hearthstone looks like it's terribly unfun to play, but I still enjoy watching it. And besides, man, this is our podcast. We can state all our opinions as facts here.
well, yeah, I mean, absolutely.
So like I want to throw a question out to the audience, right? What do you guys want to see in 2019 for the Legends competitive scene, right? Like, what does that look like to you? You know, let's say that there's an announcement. Be reasonable, I guess. But like, let's say that there's some kind of announcement akin to the announcements that other esports games have made recently, other digital card games have made recently. What does it look like for Legends, and like, why is that something you want to see? I'm sure. I mean, like, I feel like we probably shouldn't answer this question.
I mean, I'll jump in real quick and just say one of the things that I would personally love to see is the entrance of more third-party organizers. Like, you can say what you want about Valve or Artifact or the game or whatever, but one of the big things that game has going for it is that at launch, it already had so many organizations interested in running tournaments for it because of the history with Dota, right? So a lot of your Dota orgs were like, hey, let's also get on this bandwagon. And so they didn't need to wait for Valve to put money into their scene, if you will, right? Like, they just had an influx of, like, rich Ukrainian people who wanted to run tournaments.
Right.
I would love to see more third-party orgs and sponsors and like that kind of cash flow hit the Legends scene. Personally,
That's fair. A lot of interesting suggestions in chat here. It seems like a lot of these responses are tied to just more consistent release schedule for content, which I have to agree with, right? Like, Legends is like, we've been around for a long time now. Like, Legends, like you and I personally, this time, not like the everyone we like, and it's because Legends is a great fucking game, right? We've stuck with Legends despite never having a consistent release schedule for content, right? Can you imagine how great this goddamn game would be if stuff came out on time regularly?
I mean, I literally can't imagine it because I've been conditioned to no longer be that optimistic.
But that's the thing, right? Because that is what they've. I mean, for the first, like, they've never even told us. I guess let me put it like this: they've never even said in the 2.5 years we've been playing this game, no one's ever even said, "Oh yeah, we're planning on a regular release schedule for content." Yeah. Right?
No, I mean, never.
Even, like, nobody's ever even pretended that was a thing. And like, now at least they're saying it's going to happen. And I've got faith that it will happen. I believe that 2019 is going to be the best year for Legends yet.
Maybe, I don't know. I guess, like I said, I'm in that bandwagon of, like, Legends hurts me because it loves me. I think I've got battered player syndrome.
Dude. Fuck, man, that's deep.
Well, you keep saying, like, well, like, we keep playing Legends because it's a good game, and you're right. Like, at its core, we all see the good in it, and then it keeps, doing things to me, and I'm like, oh, but I know it loves me. It's so good to me.
Yeah. This reminds me. I gotta say this. Back, before. before Drain Vitality was nerfed, during the Master Series, that card is in like every other game, right? And we you just call it DV. Yeah. So I work in my other job. Like, DV means something totally different, right? And so I've spent a lot of time with the Legends community not making jokes about the things you just made jokes about.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. It's always going to be me who ruins it.
I mean, I wouldn't say that. I talked about Vivek's dick during the Master Series.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Man, you got a lot of hate for that.
It was not my most popular thing. It's not as bad as the way. Yeah. Team Defiance says we need tournaments to not last till 11 and 12 at night. It's interesting. How long do these warp meta things last? I didn't really get a lot of information when I signed up to do this.
Oh, did you take Monday off of work? Because like you're in for a marathon.
Fuck that shit, dude. I'm streaming at 7. I got a business empire to run.
Oh.
George, no, I'm not a social worker. I'm a therapist.
Well, I mean, they're like one and the same, though.
Yeah, it's similar. I mean, like, licensed clinical social workers and licensed professional counselors both have most of the same legal privileges. There are some differences
Yeah.
that have to do with diagnosis.
Yeah, it's just like how, I work in like data governance and data analytics, but like I'm not a network guy, but I get a lot of the same questions all the time because we're basically the same.
Yeah, I mean, that's true of my job too. I get a lot of the same questions over and over again. I was listening. I'm fucking around. That's awesome, George. Warp metas are 46 hours depending on number of players and whether you can call Al as an attorney. That's fine.
It's funny because it's true.
Yeah.
I will say that was one of my biggest surprises at the Artifact tournament that I cast, was that we had as many timeouts as we did.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of victories due to people running out of time, and not a single one of them was life coach. And I'm not surprised by that, because he's used to roping, so he knows how to watch the timer, but like he never even came close. And
Yeah.
then we had a lot of other people who just flat out timed out.
That's fair.
How do you feel about a time bank? Like, would you like to see something like that in Legends?
No. I think the turn timer is fine. There are a lot of things that I could do in Legends that I can't do because there are a lot of things I can't do in Legends because there's a turn timer that I would like to do. But I think the game is just, it's the tempo of watching it is better when there's a turn timer versus a time bank.
Well, all right, so let's back up, right? Artifact has both a turn timer and a time bank. It's just that the amount that goes into your time bank isn't enough to cover the full turn timer if you expend it every time, if that makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. So if, let's just say you've got like a 3-minute time bank for Legends, but you still have your like 1-minute turn timer, and at the beginning of your turn you only get like 15 or 30 seconds given to you, right? Mm-hmm. The idea would be that you could still take your full turn timer at any given time, but you couldn't do it every turn.
No, I think that having a maximum of 1:15, right? That's how long the turn timer is?
Something like that, yeah.
I think that having that maximum every single turn available, like, provides a reliable beat that you can follow and makes it a better game to watch, to be honest with you. Hey, kitty.
Your cat agrees.
Yeah. Jazargo's on board with this. What's going on? You want some treats? The announcer lady is aggressive in her warning. You're like, oh, shit.
Oh, yeah. If they're talking about that, they got to be talking about Artifact. Yeah, that lady yells at you, and big numbers flash in your face.
Nice. Fortunately, whenever I play Artifact, I lose well before my time runs out. Yeah, we do have cat emotes, by the way. Cat emotes. By the way, I got to give a shout out to all the Crab Shack members here who successfully executed our mission to spam the Legends official stream on Friday with CVH faces all night. Well, I think honestly over 50% post on that thing was a CVH face. It was amazing.
Yeah, I don't think CVH knew what he was agreeing to when you asked. Poor sweet childlike CVH.
Dude, what did he? No, hold on. He's known me for a long time. Like, he had to know that I had some, like, it wasn't just like, oh, hey, CVH, can't use your faces in it. I think he knew that, like, I was going to do something stupid with it. You think CVH was not happy when we did it? I talked to him afterwards. He was alright with it. he did say that it made chat hard to read. It's kind of the idea.
I mean, let's be honest. At this point, what do you even need to read chat for? We already know all of the talking points.
Yeah, expansion's coming out in July. Uh... So I think that God, there's so many topics I want to cover with you because like it's been a while since we got together and talked like this. Usually you and I talk like every day, and like you were kind of both several time zones away and super busy, and so there's been a lot going on in the Legends community.
Yeah, I was like 9 or 10 hours ahead of you, and then on top of that, I only had internet when I was at the studio or at my hotel. So it was very difficult to try to keep a conversation with you and CVH. I tried. I did my best.
Yeah, no,
It
I
was
understand.
it was challenging.
No, I understand.
I need to, I think, get a new cell phone provider so that I can just deal with the international roaming.
Sandra and I are planning on spending a bunch of time in Mexico next year, and so we switched to a carrier. Like I was on a carrier that did not have coverage in Mexico, and so we switched recently to a carrier that does.
Yeah, I'm currently on Verizon, who has coverage, but it's super expensive when you go international. So
Yeah.
I would prefer to find... What I'd really like to do, one of the other casters that was there, one of the other talents, if you will, had the Google project, Google Fi whatever stuff. So, he had service everywhere, and it was great. The downside to that is you have to buy your phone up front, and I'm poor, so I can't do that. But
Yeah.
I was amazed at the places where we were, and he was still getting service. Like,
Wow.
phenomenal. So, if I'm ever like a real star or something and can afford that, I would do it in a heartbeat.
That sounds sweet. I remember my dad was always one of those guys who had to have new technology, like even if it like didn't benefit him at all, right? Like if it was 150 years ago, he'd the one guy in the city who owned a telephone, and he'd just be waiting for a second guy to buy one so he could call him. Like that was my dad. Like, and he, I remember for a while, he convinced his like people, like the people he worked with or something like that, convinced them to get him a satellite phone, which he then proceeded to do nothing with. But like one time when I was younger, we took a trip mountain climbing, and I remember we were up at the top of a mountain, and he whips out his cell phone and he makes a call. This is long enough ago that like just having a cell phone outside, in the wilderness was kind of weird, and like calling somebody from the top of a mountain was just like fucking mind blowing.
Right?
And I think about that sometimes, like how cool that experience was.
Yeah, this trip definitely made me reflect on now I wouldn't say like how dependent I am on my phone, but how many like comfort things I use it for. Everything from just like looking up directions, or if somebody was like, hey, what does this restaurant have? Like sometimes I'll like Google restaurant menus, or just like little things, right? You've been on the road with me, and there's been several times where you'll ask a question, and I'm like, I don't know, let me find out, and I look it up. Right. And so not being able to just do that on a whim made me remember what that felt like. Spoiler alert, it wasn't fun.
I mean, cell phones are also just a great way to ignore conversations.
Well, that's priority number one whenever you're with me. Hey, Justin, we're still live.
No, I'm actually using my phone for its intended.
Hey, Justin.
Yeah.
We're still live.
Oh, yeah, my bad. In 21H says, now with the cell phone, you can look at porn on the top of a mountain, not progress. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, like its intended purpose.
Yeah. I don't know how it happened. Like, I ended up like just the kind of guy who doesn't give a shit about his. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I enjoy my phone, but like, I could do without it.
Well, look, if I went to Reddit in the browser and used like. If I used my phone the way you did, I'd be able to live without it too.
Yeah. Well, look, part of rebelling against a guy like my dad who like knew how to use a cell phone was to make sure that I sure as shit did not know how to use a cell phone. Yeah.
Oh, listen, I've got something that's on my mind. And this has been on my mind since even before we went live. Like from the moment I called you. I need to
Okay.
tell you, your shirt is awesome.
Oh yeah.
So for the people who are listening to the audio only version, Justin is wearing a Christmas sweater that has
Yeah,
snowflakes on it, and it has a Tyrannosaurus Rex wearing a Santa hat.
yeah. That is true. That is what I'm wearing. So there's this generational divide at work. Like we're expanding very rapidly, and like consequently, we're hiring quite a few young people. And I'm like, I was the first person, like the first. I guess I'm a millennial, so like I was the first millennial hired at the Second Chance Center. I was also the first white man hired at the Second Chance Center. It was the beginning of like a change from like how they had been operating. And since then, most of the people we've hired have been younger than me. And so like I've recently decided to start doing things together, and we decided to wear ugly Christmas sweaters to work, despite the fact that of the 6 of us, only one of us celebrates Christmas. And so Sandra bought this for me. It was just the most amazing gift that anybody's ever given me.
I mean, it's a fantastic shirt. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Sandra's great. I mean, she's a great manager.
Apparently, according to chat, I say Tyrannosaurus Rex weird. Probably here's the thing. Sometimes the S gets drawn out at the end and it kind of sounds like I'm saying Tyrannosaurus sex. I think that's like an old Futurama reference, but
yeah,
I don't know.
That's all
right. I just pronounce things weird, I guess.
I mean, you're just kind of weird in general.
It's it's the Rano part, Aeolus says.
Yeah, the Rano part is weird too, yeah. That's a good point.
It's not that weird.
It's kind of weird.
What do you guys say, like Tyranno or something? It's Tyrannosaurus Rex. Tyranno. It's after the tyrant.
Tyrannosaurus.
Yeah. No, it's literally the tyrant lizard. That's how it got its name. It's tyrant. Tyrannosaurus Rex.
No, it's like this. It's like the Crusader card. It's Tur.
I swear to God.
Yep. Checks out.
Charmer is wrong. No, Charmer is not wrong.
Well, Charmer, you have a bit of an accent.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. To be fair, so do I, but like, it's much more like. I mean, like everybody knows somebody who sounds like. My dad has a really thick accent, actually. You'll have to meet him sometime. He's a funny guy. I mean, actually, he's not funny at all. He has no sense of humor, but we'll laugh about him behind his back.
Somebody says the Red Ranger says T-Ran. That doesn't mean anything. I don't believe the Red Ranger is my basis for proper pronunciation.
I always thought of you more as like the Pink Ranger. That's my thought.
So Corey Milhouse says he's been here too long without a fun fact from Justin.
A fun fact from Justin. All right, I can do a fun fact. Is there a specific topic you'd like a fun fact on? Give me a topic.
Hey, fun fact. I just got a Twitch drop from Bethesda.
Did you really?
One core card pack.
I haven't gotten one yet. That's why I'm still here, actually.
Well, maybe you should pronounce dinosaur names properly.
Ooh, burn, brother.
Burn, like the oil that's made of dinosaurs.
That's fair. Fun fact about jail. Okay. All the food in the Kansas Department of Corrections and jail, so prison and jail, is provided by Aramark, same company that provided the food to my grade school. There's a fun fact.
Sook's still trying to convince me that I say Tyrannosaurus Rex wrong, but
I forgot we even had that conversation.
Ramen is like ramen trades like money.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, you call them soups in there, and when I was in prison, they were either 25 cents or 50 cents, depending on what kind they were, and they were currency. You traded them for all sorts of stuff. The other alternative currency is stamps.
Yeah, stamps make sense. It's basically
Is there a difference between prison and jail? There is.
there is
You're held.
actually, yes.
You're held in jail on a variety of things: city crimes, county crimes, awaiting trial for felonies, and misdemeanors in general.
Yeah.
You're sentenced to prison for violating state laws, breaking the law in unincorporated counties that don't have sheriff's department, and committing a felony. And
federal crimes too. Like there are no
but
like
the
real
federal prison system's different.
Yeah, but I just mean there's not like a federal jail, right? Like if you're in federal, you're in prison.
Right, and that's why if you commit federal misdemeanors, you still go to federal prison as opposed to jail, which where you would go if you were committing a state misdemeanor, and you still end up when you leave the Federal Bureau of Prisons, regardless of what you did, you end up on federal probation instead of federal parole because there is no federal parole. Federal state crimes, if you're released from prison, you go on probation or on parole. I'm sorry, and if you're released from jail, you go on probation.
Yeah, and then you've got there's like a bunch of things that are state specific as well, right? Like depending on your state statutes, there might be limits to the amount of time you can spend in a jail versus a prison, and term lengths and things like that. Those are all because much like Justin was saying, right? Like because you're charged on either city crimes or state crimes or misdemeanors, there are differences there. Because like in the state of Michigan, for example, most of your misdemeanors carry a maximum sentence of like 1 year, right? But there's a couple that carry over. It's like pretty specific things, but for the most part, jail is like short term.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is actually a difference. And there's also a difference between even just like jail and holding as well.
There can be, but places with low populations will just hold you.
Oh, well, yeah. There can be. I guess is what I should have said. And the other question that I have is, what game are you playing, Justin?
Path of Exile.
Path of Exile. I wondered what it was because there was a lot more clicking.
I'm sorry. I'll stop.
No, you're fine. There was just more clicking than usual. I was like, this is not Slay the Spire, is what I was trying to get at.
No. Tina Fines wants to know if I can travel outside the U.S. I can now, yeah. I'm off parole. But I can... there are countries that will not let me into their borders. I can't go to Canada. A lot of countries have laws against convicted felons from other countries visiting, and some of them have specific laws against specific crimes. Canada does not like DUI drivers and doesn't like felons, and I'm both, so... You can apply for a waiver. I can't go to China either, or I have to. There is a handful of countries like.
Is Ukraine one of them?
It is not.
So, you can come along with me.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to enjoy playing Artifact. Bam.
Well, I don't want to wish that on you.
India and Brazil are other countries that you can't visit with a United States felony. Australia, New Zealand, United Kingdom, and Japan.
Interesting.
Yep.
Most of those make sense.
You can apply for a waiver from a lot of these. Yeah.
Hila says, "Oof, but you're going to come visit me." That is a lie. I'm never going to come visit you. In fact, I had told you that the only time I wanted to go there was when you were in the States for TwitchCon, because I felt like that would have been cosmic justice.
I'll be eligible to visit New Zealand in 2 years. I will never be eligible to visit Australia.
Which is one of the funniest to me, because it's literally a country founded by prisoners.
Yeah.
You would think, historically, they might be a little okay with that.
Well, they ruined it for the rest of us. Like, oh, you remember what my pops did? I ain't letting anybody else see that.
Yeah.
Dude, it's been. Has it really been since November 3rd since we did a fucking podcast?
No, I feel like we've done one since November 3rd.
We must have had a guest. The last time you called me on Discord was on November 3rd.
Yeah, no, we've had guests.
Who do we have?
This guy by the name of Peter Generos.
Oh, yeah. Was he the last episode we did?
Lead designer from Sparky Pants, developer of Legends.
That is true. That is true. My bad, dude. My bad. I forgot about that.
Who do we have?
Dude, hold on. He was a great guest. That explains why this episode sucks so hard, right? Because like we did like we focused and we nailed that episode. And now, you know, now we're fucked up. Like now we suck.
Well, yeah, I mean we took a couple of weeks off. I flew halfway around the world, and you spent time with like family.
I made an emote of CVH's face. Oh, that's right. There was Thanksgiving in there too.
Yeah, there was Thanksgiving in there too.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, good call, Ills. Mina. Say hello to the camera, Mina. Yeah, you looked up. Oh, you're such a good kitty. I had to watch it back. Yeah, I actually thought our interview with Peter went really well.
Yeah, I mean, we clearly peaked there.
It was good. It makes sense. It was about a year after we interviewed Pete Hines, right?
Yeah, about that.
The only way we top those two Peters is if we get Spider-Man on as our next guest.
Ooh, Peter Parker.
That's right. Right. Or Peter Pan. Peter Pan would be perfect.
Peter Pan would be great if they would bring peanut butter with them.
Yeah, peanut butter is pretty good.
Is Peter Pan peanut butter even still a thing anymore? I don't even think it is. I remember that when I was growing up.
I haven't seen it in 20 years.
Yeah, I remember when I was growing up, it was a thing. But
Yeah,
after I said it, I was like, I don't remember.
Yeah.
If that's even a thing anymore.
Peter Pants is available. Yeah.
Oh.
We peated, yeah. Yeah, we did Pete. I finished my semester at grad school. I have 5 classes left.
Sounds like quitting time.
You know, and actually, if I was ever gonna quit, it would be now, just because like I'm reaching that point where it's real enough now, where it's like, well, maybe I should do something else with my life. I mean, I'm not actually feeling that way, but like that, the thought, of course, occurs to me, you know, from time to time.
Yeah, no, I believe me, I'm 100% there with you. As somebody who already once in his life like completely shifted careers,
yeah,
and thinks about also shifting careers pretty frequently. Yeah, I get it.
Well, I mean, like there will be a shift when I graduate to an extent, right? Right now, I'm the mental health coordinator. I do a lot of networking, a lot of meetings, a lot of fundraising, and a little bit of like and some therapy. I do therapy too. When I'm a licensed, when I get my license, like I'm just gonna be doing therapy, right? Like my coordination will end.
You keep telling yourself that, but buddy, you work for a nonprofit. You will always wear many hats.
Yeah, but like it makes more economic sense, right? Because like if I can bill someone's Medicaid every hour I talk to them, like they'll want me to talk to people all day.
I mean, sure, but
yeah. Man, dude, there's all this exciting shit going on with Legends that I always like start to talk about it, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I can't talk.
Yeah, I know. We should open it up to chat. We're at that point.
Bring us your questions. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do that, and hopefully chat can save this episode
By the way,
from us.
I've made it to Ascension level 8 on Slay the Spire.
I've shifted so much, surprised I haven't shifted wives. No, you gotta have a constant. You have to have a backbone.
Oh, like Desmond and Penny.
You can't shift everything.
Wait, Ian, I thought I responded to your Discord message.
No.
Yeah, you said I'll contact you with more info. That's the last message I have from you, Ian.
Yeah, Ian. Why don't you contact him with more info?
Yeah.
There you go. What is your favorite burrito?
My favorite burrito? Oh,
Yeah,
that's a good one. So I really like soy rizo, you know, like fake chorizo, with eggs and salsa.
Yeah, mine would also just be like a breakfast burrito, but one without meat.
Yeah. Breakfast burritos are great too. Sandra fucking hates breakfast burritos. She thinks they're like exceptional. Like, I mean, she doesn't say that they're like it's cultural appropriation, but like I know that's why she doesn't like them. But yeah, burritos are great, man. What did I have for dinner tonight? So today, by the way, is when the Japanese celebrate Bodhi Day. I don't know if you did it. I've been fasting for a week. I didn't like want to get on a soapbox and talk about it on Twitter and shit. But today I ate for the first time in 7 days. It's part of the reason I've been so sick lately is like I haven't been getting any better because I've not been taking care of myself physically. But so today was my first day eating in a week, and we had apple pie and broccoli, and we made these little like lettuce wraps with homemade peanut sauce. It was amazing. It was amazing. We used polenta and we fried it and put it in there with onions. It was delicious. Team Defiance wants to know what I think the game needs to be make it more enjoyable. Regular content releases, either that or like balance patch every month, a dramatic one, because it would function similar to a new content release, although it's not as good.
Yeah, that would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I think? Well, but hey, I've made that suggestion on the show for like a year now. For dramatic balance changes on a regular basis. And I get why it's not a good idea. I get it. It's just something I personally think would be fun. Do I think the Elder Scrolls Legends player base is toast, or will players come back? Also, streamers that have left coming back or staying on. What do you think about that, Derek?
I mean, I don't think it's toast. I think it's like roughly the same size as it's been for like the last, 2-3 months or whatever. Basically, it's been pretty stable since the client switch. If it's going down, it's going down at a very, very slow rate. I'm still finding games with the same consistency. So I don't think it's toast.
Yeah.
As far as like streamers that left and came back, like the ones that left aren't coming back. Like, let's be honest, they left for a number of different reasons, but most of them are chasing viewer pools, chasing money, chasing the next hottest thing, whatever the case may be. Even if like Legends has a new expansion, they'll come back for like a week or something, and then they'll be gone. The only way that they come back is if Legends were to make some huge announcement that also had to do with money, right? All those people that are chasing tournament dollars are going to continue to chase tournament dollars. So
yeah. Well, I mean, they're going to play Hand of the Gods too.
Yeah. So, the only way Legends gets more streamers that just stick with the game because they love it at this point is if they just start onboarding more players and new players and open up that pathway, right? So
I do think that there are probably a lot of people who would play it and enjoy Legends who have never played it because they don't know it exists. I think that's almost certainly the case. Like, you and I have been to a bunch of fucking events at this point, and like these are events a lot of times for people who like Bethesda games, who are like, oh my god, I didn't know there was a Skyrim card game, right?
Yeah,
we've heard that every time. Every time people say that, like, I didn't know this existed. Like, these are motherfuckers with Fallout tattoos and they don't know that Legends exists because there's like no promotion.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I think that I don't know. If Elder Scrolls 6 comes out sometime in the next 10 years, I think that has the potential to cause a secondary influx if marketed correctly. You know, if there's a wolf mount for Elder Scrolls 6 that ends up in Legends, I think that could get a lot of exposure going for it.
I think that you could absolutely like double or triple the number of like entrenched players. I mean, I'm being conservative, honestly, in my much more the number of entrenched players with a well-announced and managed tournament scene deal, regular content release, although that's sort of how you entrench them after they get on board, and a big advertising campaign.
Anyone have an extra Doom Wolf code lying around? Nope. Fun fact, I haven't played Elder Scrolls Online in a long time. I did play it. I played it a lot at launch and even during the beta. I was actually one of the closed beta testers for that. But when I got my code, I redeemed it immediately just because I didn't want to deal with people asking me.
Yeah. I mean, I redeemed mine right away. I haven't played Elder Scrolls Online for quite a while now, but I did play it for a while.
Yeah, I mean, it's a solid game. My biggest problem was I didn't want to play it on stream because the problem that I have with MMOs on stream is there's a lot of things you have to do as like general maintenance is what I call it, right? Rearranging your bag space, doing crafting, going out and getting materials, right? Like the fun parts aren't always like consistent, and I didn't want to stream while I was doing like the boring parts, but then that meant I felt like I had homework before I could start streaming because I was like, oh, I'll have to sign on and do all that, and then I don't know. That's ultimately what made me not stream MMOs, because I've played a lot of MMOs and I enjoy them, but they're not, in my opinion, very stream friendly.
I don't know why anybody would watch them. Gotta be honest, I have no idea. I would never watch somebody stream an MMO.
I mean, I would if it was like somebody I knew and maybe we were in a guild together or something, or like just to hang out, but
what, like, MMOs already have a community,
right?
Like I when I do watch people play Legends, it's because like that gives me that sense of community in an otherwise very solitary experience.
Eolus says you'd watch for the streamer experience rather than the gameplay. Yeah, except for I don't watch anything for the streamer experience. Because this is what happens. They're either far more entertaining than me, and then I get depressed because I'll never reach that level of entertainment. I don't know if you guys heard this or not, but I'm emotionless. Or they're just like me, in which case, why are you watching somebody who's just like me? I'm emotionless. So dude, either way, it's just not a fun experience for me.
I would never watch anyone like me. Never.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, like, what other content creator do I remind you of somewhere?
That you remind me of?
Yeah, so I can find a content creator and watch them and see how annoying.
That's a good question. Have you you're like a less flashy Sir Action Slacks. Like
Sir Action Slacks.
Like if you had a soundboard that you could work with, you might be pretty close to him. In fact, listening when I was in Ukraine, listening to Sunsfan talk about like whenever he works with Slacks, in my head it was just like you all the time. Everything he described was like working with you. But I mean that in all the best ways possible.
Yeah. Slacks comes off as the least genuine person in the history. Oh, that sucks. Fuck.
Somebody said Loco Pojo is always... No, Loco Pojo is like CVH in my opinion. I think he's far more like CVH than he is Justin.
He's the Eternal guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I've watched a little bit of his stuff.
Yeah, Ian Bit's saying it as well. He's the eternal CVH. 100%. If somebody told me that Loco Pojo was CVH's little brother, I wouldn't bat an eye. I would just believe it blindly.
Fair enough. Regis Kilbin? I'll check this. I'll check these guys out. Thank you.
Yeah, Regis might be another one.
Questions. I realized I muted myself. All right, guys. Questions. What do you want to know from me? Hey, Mina. No. So Mina, as a kitten, is still learning that you can't use claws when you're walking on people.
So Bucket Fridge asks me, who are my favorite characters to play in Artifact? For me personally, my favorite hero is Sorla Khan. And maybe my second favorite is like Tinker. I just really like playing black. Black's the most flexible of the colors. It has a lot of the cross lane interactions, which I really enjoy. So usually anything I build is starting with black, and then I go from there.
I seem to lose more slowly when I draft.
Yeah, black just because of the cross lane stuff and the flexibility, I feel like it gives me more decision making potential and power, which is what I really enjoy about that game.
Ian Bits, why do I not like Artifact? It feels like the experience of learning to play Artifact doesn't feel intuitive to me. I have trouble tracking everything that's going on, and I don't feel like I'm getting any better no matter how much I play. Also, there does not seem to be a link between what I'm doing and my ability to win.
Somebody says, what about RNG and Artifact? People say it's really bad. I think that's people that don't understand the difference between quantity of randomness and the magnitude of randomness, right? There is a lot of things that have a random element in Artifact, but very, very few of them have large individual impacts, right? It's all little bits that just are basically ways to create differing board states and emergent gameplay and the kind of variance that I enjoy that rewards decision making and adaptation. Because you could say this about any card game, right? Any card game starts with creating variance, right? Whether it's just from simple card draw or other mechanics. And then the things that usually separate good players from great players and bad players from good players are players' decision making, right? So any card game that creates lots of ways for you to make decisions that have a positive impact on the game and thus your win rate over time, I think is good. In my opinion, I think Artifacts RNG, while there are a lot of them, they're of low magnitude, low impact. So I think people get hung up on the amount. And here's the other thing, right? Other card games have kind of unfortunately trained people to think that things are over before they are, right? If you get a bad flop in Artifact, it's the same to a lot of players as if you have a bad like turn 2 and turn 3 in Legends, right? Like if you're playing against somebody that has the ring and you don't have a 2-drop and you don't have a 3-drop, then you're just behind on board and you feel like the game is over, right? Like that's that feeling that people have. You're like ready to hit concede already. You get a bad flop in Artifact, maybe you lose like 2 heroes on the opening turn. Game's not actually over, but people are conditioned to feel that way. And now everything in their head is that like confirmation bias of like, this isn't going my way because of, my bad flop and now this bad arrow. And I think the sooner you break that like mental cycle and you start looking at the ways that you can shift and get back into it, and then I think that the game becomes better and more enjoyable. But it's difficult, right? There's that condition that we have from, decades, going all the way back to Magic, right? Like even if you're playing Magic, there's times where like somebody has an opening and in your head you're like, it's turn 3 and I already know that I've lost. So yeah, there is definitely RNG and artifact, but I can count after, I've played hundreds of hours now. I can count on one hand the number of games that I truly feel like I lost to RNG. And they are such like minuscule rare instances. Like I'm talking, I had 3 melee creeps over the course of 3 turns that soaked like 30 damage a pop from me once. It happens so rare that I just don't. More times than not, I look back and I'm like, oh, I like messed up a hero deployment, right, or something like that. So. You're still muted, Justin.
I have discovered a website called Steam Charts.
You've discovered. Well,
yep.
Welcome to, the last decade, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I have no data to back this up. But all Artifact players play through Steam, right?
Yes, that is correct.
I would guess there are more concurrent Legends players than there are players right now.
Probably. I would believe that. Like, I wouldn't bat an eye at that just because of the presence of mobile.
Yeah.
I think that will potentially change when Artifact does hit mobile. It's supposed to hit mobile sometime next year, but I don't know. We'll see. What's the most recent word on how expensive Artifact is? I mean, I guess that depends. The last... From a source that I trust, the last thing that I saw said that you can expect to spend around $200 to get a complete collection of full play sets. And that's not even like trying to nickel and dime the market. You can, I know some people that basically spent like $50 to get 3 copies of everything. But those are people who like aggressively nickel and dime the market. I don't have time for that. Like, I just want to know, like, what do I got to pay once and then call it good, so... I love how, so Shadow Griffin in chat says $200. Holy shit, fuck that. Listen, I'm going to be up front with you right now. I've spent more than that on Legends. Like, easily. I have, personally.
I don't think I have.
I can tell you for beyond a shadow of a doubt, I've spent more than $200 on Legends. And I don't have a full, like, playset collection of anything that's not a story expansion. So none of the pack-based things do I own 3 ofs, and I can say the same thing for the base set. And it may come as a shock to you, but I've put a fair amount of time into playing Legends too. Now, that being said, I do have a premium problem, right? That's a thing. But yeah, I've easily spent more than $200 on Legends. And again, that was for me saying like full play sets, whatever. Like if you just want to buy like one competitive deck, like if you wanted to buy like Salamene Storm right now, it's like $40 or $50 for that deck. It's not bad.
I've spent more money on Legends than I even need to. I'm thinking about this. I'm fairly certain that I have enough dust and gold that if a new pack-based expansion dropped tomorrow, I could craft all of it.
Yeah, I mean, I can say with certainty that that is not the case for me, but
yeah,
I have a premium problem.
You know, because of some conversations we had actually, instantly trapping my premium. Plus, like once I realized a few months ago, like that I had this much dust and I didn't know what to do with it. This many soul shards. I realized, like, well, I'll just start collecting premium cards. And now at this point, if I soul trapped all my premium cards, I think I'd have another easily 30 or 40,000 soul shards.
So this is adorable. Frankie Hot Dog says, here's the issue with Artifact though. You have a full collection now because you don't have time to grind for the set, but now you have a full set in Artifact. What's left to do in the game? This is a pretty easy answer. Are you ready? Are you on the edge of your seat?
Yeah.
play the game. Like, I don't
Mm,
know about you guys, but like
I can't do that, man.
whenever I buy a board game, right? Like at home, you know, I own, I don't know, like Settlers of Catan, House on Haunted Hill, uh, Twilight Imperium. I own 100% of all of those games. None of those games have an achievement system. But you know what? Somebody comes over this weekend, I'm going to play the game. Because sometimes you just play a game to enjoy it. Right? Like, I don't know why this is such a controversial thing. And not just in Artifact and not just even in card games, right? But like there was a time when like you played a game because you had fun doing it. Like, growing up, I used to play a lot of chess, right? I was in the chess club. I was one of those nerds, right? There was no MMR in chess. I didn't have a ranking system in chess. There was no monthly Legends rank in chess. I just like to play chess.
You play
So,
chess for the chicks, man.
like, when I started playing Magic the Gathering, DCI didn't even exist. I didn't even have a DCI number. I played Magic because I liked to play Magic, right? So, like, when all these people say, like, well, what's there to do in Artifact? Like, I don't know. Play the game. It's weird. And maybe it's just me because that's also the way I've treated Legends. Like, yeah, I finished top 100. There's a couple of times where I'm like, okay, I really want to try hard to finish top 100. But most of the time, I'm just playing Legends because I like to play Legends, you know? And I think it's fair to say that anyone who's approached me knows that I'm not trying to go for like a #1 finish or anything. Like, I just like playing the game. Like, it feels good to play the game. Like, if Justin came over tomorrow and he's like, hey man, I want to play Monopoly, I would say, yes, I would love to cheat at Monopoly when playing against you because I just like playing Monopoly. So I don't.
I agree with you actually on this topic. I play because it's fun. Right?
Yeah.
I don't, you know, I mean.
And don't get me wrong. Here's the other thing I want to say real quick. This doesn't mean I'm against a progression system. If other people need it, it doesn't hurt me if it's there. And if that's what they get their enjoyment for, sweet, throw it in. I don't care. But to like say that a game like needs one or is bad without one, I think is very close-minded in my opinion, because there are a lot of ways that I have spent my time and it's strictly for the enjoyment of it.
Sweet. Good times. Fun and interactive, the Artifact Podcast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, we threw it to chat. Chat had questions.
No, I'm just fucking around, man. It's totally cool.
And I'm trying to tie this back to Legends. Like I said, man, I don't play Legends. Like, listen, you're the poster child too. You're not playing Legends because of the ladder.
No,
like,
I told you I agreed with you. Yeah. I play this game because it's fun, man. I think Legends in particular is fun because you can do so many things. Right? Imagine like if our release cadence hadn't been so awful for the entire existence of this game, I might not have become the kind of player that I am. Because like it was out of necessity that I got into more and more bizarre things that I wanted to do playing Legends. So in some ways, like I credit where credit's due. Like this was something I did because I was finding new ways to dick around. And the one time I thought about quitting Legends was like October or November of last year. And it's because it had been so long since we got any new content. I was just running out of ideas. That hasn't happened for a while. Hasn't happened since then.
Yeah, that is interesting to think about, like what would have maybe happened if we would have seen full-time competitive Justin.
Jesus, dude. Well, see, I mean, you and I have talked a little bit about it. I don't have it in me to do this, like to play the same deck over and over and over again, you know? Even decks that I enjoy, right? Like, I like Abomination Scout. It's one of the coolest things that I've ever seen this game do. I love playing it. But even that deck, I can't play more than like 5 or 6 games in a row before I'm like, I got to do something. Same as Support Mage. I love playing Support Mage. If Support Mage was playable right now, which it's totally not, nor will it probably ever be again, you can't play more than one game of that because then it's bedtime.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's fair. Not everybody has it in them to just play like 400 games of Mid Sorcerer.
No, I mean I did that for a few months. I did, yeah, right. I did that for a few months, but even then, like, even when I was doing that with Legends, I wasn't enjoying it the way I'm enjoying the game now. You know, I was enjoying my success, but it pales in comparison to the enjoyment of expressing myself through the game, personally, and it always will. Because I don't like zero sum as a philosophy in general, and I really don't like zero sum games. This is the only one like this that I play where it's not in some way either like not about the end. It's about, it's about the journey in most of the games I play. Play Legends, and I continue to do so because it gives me an outlet for expression, and because there are so many cool people that I get to have this social experience with. Like, I've done my best to subvert the binary win lose essence of Legends, like, because that's the worst part of it to me. Like, do I like winning? Yeah, I like winning. I think we're all probably hardwired to win, like, enjoy success in some way. But like, I do my best to define
Eh,
success differently.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I don't enjoy success, but we talked about that.
And again, to go back to that conversation, that's rooted in my.
I'm really glad that your audio cut out just there.
Fuck you.
You know what I've kind of said this before. I'm really waiting for either the Battle Royale card game, right? Just because one of the things I miss most about Magic is multiplayer.
Yeah.
And so I think that the natural, like, as much as it's a cliche, like, the natural next step is if somebody wants to actually try to make a multiplayer card game work in the digital format, Battle Royale's the next format. But I also personally wouldn't mind, like, seeing the co-op side of that, right? Like, I want Two-Headed Giant too. I want Emperor as a format in a card game. I want to be on Justin's team while
Yeah,
trying to do ridiculous things.
I agree. I think that, like, I mean, like, Artifact is innovative in less innovative than I thought it was before I learned how to play. But like, a card game that involves more than two players, that would be groundbreaking to me. A digital one.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see something that just had built-in either Two-Headed Giant mechanics or really Emperor. Emperor used to be one of my favorite formats to ever play Magic. And if you've never played Emperor in Magic, you are missing out. It is 3-on-3, and there are two people on sides of an Emperor, right? There's like the Emperor on the left and the right, and there are like rules for how far you can cast spells and who can attack who, and I just really loved that as a format.
That sounds awesome. I have played EDH, but I've never played Mythgard, or fuck, what were we saying? Emperor.
Yeah. Just like, so there was also kind of like the equivalent of like a Battle Royale multiplayer we used to play back at my comic shop for Magic. We called it Bounty Hunter. So the idea was, it was like free-for-all, kind of free-for-all multiplayer. You'd get like 8 people, 10 people around a table. But then before the game started, you would all put your name on a card, shuffle them, and then deal them out. And you could only attack the person whose name you had. And every time you like killed somebody, then you inherited their bounty and could attack the name they had. And then once you got to your own name, like when you had your own card, then you could attack anybody. And so it was like multiplayer, like free-for-all-ish, but you had like designated targets kind of as well. It was pretty neat. There's a lot of, I think, interesting ways that a good multiplayer digital card game could be done, or co-op, or whatever. It's interesting.
Hey, who's your favorite Ninja Turtle?
Donatello.
Me too. Huh.
Yeah.
I always. Good.
I was gonna say he was the smart one that made gadgets, man, and he had a purple bandana.
Yeah, he was always my favorite too. That's cool.
Bucket Fridge wants to know if either of us have ever played Fantasy Flight Games living card games. I've played some of them. I don't think
I don't,
Justin has.
I don't know what those are.
Um, I love pretty much any Fantasy Flight game. As I've told Justin, my favorite games on the planet are the ones that take like 3 hours to set up, an extra hour just to read the rules, and then like 7 hours playing until you have to give up long before the game's meant to end just because now all your friends have to go home. Like, that's Fantasy Flight games typically in a nutshell, and I'm all in on those. But
The only like real life game I've played is Clank. I think if everybody knows that at this point. I saw a guy get stabbed one time playing Monopoly.
so Major Broski says, so you like Civilization? Yeah, sure, I'll play it. Civilization, Arkham Horror, Twilight Imperium, old like 1984 Milton Bradley Axis and Allies, all of the like licensed IP Fantasy Flight games, so like World of Warcraft, StarCraft, things like that. The more pieces, the better. Shannara's here. I thought we banned him.
Oh, I've played Risk before.
Risk. Oh, you're adorable.
Yeah.
I remember, so like I grew up with a military family, a lot of Marines, right? And they used to love playing Risk and Axis and Allies. Axis and Allies was like the first time that I realized a board game could be more than like just a standard like roll dice, move your figure board game. It kind of like blew my mind and changed my life forever. But my family used to love to play Risk as well, so I got really good at it. And then I remember in high school, as a like we're gonna use a board game to teach you about like colonialism project, they paired us up, and we all got to play Risk, and it's typically a long game. My teachers planned on it taking like 40 minutes or something, and I remember I like wiped my board in 5 turns. Like I just crushed everybody because I knew like, hey, early, like you take Australia, you take Brazil, or excuse me, South America, because they have like single and double entry points, but you get free units, and then you expand from there. So I like ripped right through them, and then my teachers didn't know what to do with me for like 40 minutes. Senior Citizen says, is ESL Legends dead? No. I mean, is
Not even
dead
close.
as dead as any game that has an active player base and a bunch of stuff I can't talk about coming can be, I guess. I don't know.
No, Legends is in a great spot as far as like its institutional stability goes.
Yeah, that's fair. Ian says, first of all, what is ESL Legends?
That's funny.
It's Legends.
Legends of the English.
Actually, you know what? I take it back. ESL Legends is dead because that was the old Direwolf version where like you played like Legends on your scroll, on a scroll, with a scroll.
Fucking
right?
Legendception.
Do you ever go back and like look at your like launch day YouTube videos and like watch what the game and the interface was like and animations? Yeah. I did that recently just for nostalgia, you know?
It looks trashy.
It was no shock that look and feel of the game used to be a pretty big complaint. Man, dude, your keyboard is loud. I think finally getting the snowball mic to work for Discord for you might have been a curse.
Really? I feel like do I sound better? I mean, like,
yeah,
I feel
no,
like
you sound great, but
yeah,
it's it just picks up everything else so well. Like your keyboard and your mouse didn't used to be as loud.
That's fair.
So
that's
now
fair.
we know. Now we know when you're sending DMs to me,
No, I'm DMing Major Broski actually,
or when you're playing Path of Exile, or
and I stopped playing Path of Exile.
yeah, I know.
But
I'm
like,
just
look, man, we talked about Artifact for a while, and like, I just started tuning out. I had to cleanse my palate, but uh, I'm getting to something pretty cool. Hold on. Check your Discord DMs from Major Broski.
I can't at this moment.
What about a Twitch DM?
I could check Twitch or Twitter, but Discord is currently what we're using for this call. So
Right. Fun fact about the keyboard I have: the keyboard's the only thing that survived from my old keyboard for a while.
yeah.
Yeah, I just installed Mythgard. By the way.
Yeah, I installed it, but then I took a trip before I could try it. But I'm looking forward to giving it a go because it sounds neat.
Yeah, I'll try it. Fuck, man, I played Hand of the Gods.
Right, Hand of the Gods.
What do you think the chances are that it ends up Artifact of the Gods?
I think that, like, if you're asking if like Artifact's gonna end up going down the tank, I think that's a pretty slim chance. And I say this as a, you know, Legends has had some doom and gloom a couple of times in its history, and it's still here just by the sheer will of like Bethesda, and Valve is gonna do the exact same thing. You know, Dota didn't exactly have the cleanest launch. CS:GO, I mean, that was years ago, but that didn't exactly have the cleanest launch. But like, they're still around and in many ways thriving. Valve is very similar in terms of games that they just continue to improve upon until they finally make it right. Like, I think about Bethesda and what they did with Elder Scrolls Online and how bad ESO's launch was versus like how well received it is now. And so that's why I keep having faith in Legends, and like Valve's the same way. It won't be a Hand of the Gods. It won't be the most popular game ever, but it doesn't need to be.
Did you get those Twitter or Twitch messages or whatever?
Yeah.
So by the way, we should wrap up a little early tonight because I got to get up and do the warp meta tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. You're a big shot now.
Get the fuck out of here! You just got flown to Eastern Europe and hung out in some sex dungeon with a bunch of with a fucking tour guide. All right, I'm under no illusions.
It wasn't a sex dungeon, all right?
Yeah,
there were passwords and a dwarf, midget, but it was a restaurant.
You had to give a midget a password so that you could go behind a black curtain directly into a bathroom with stone wall. Like, I understand what happened. Not to mention, I used to use a lot of dope, man. I know what. I've given little people passwords before.
Oh, thanks. Now I'm gonna have to deal with that.
Mm-hmm. No, that's cool. I'm excited about that. I'm glad that I got to meet Silverfuse before. You know, we this is something that happened while we were on vacation from the podcast. Silverfuse and I went out to lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. With our partners. She's married, I'm married. We went to, what's the name of the place? Cheesecake Factory, downtown Kansas City. That was pretty cool.
I've never actually been to a Cheesecake Factory. I was really close to going to one.
Yeah.
When I was traveling for work and I was in Virginia and I just really wanted cheesecake.
Yeah.
I like Googled how far I would have to walk to one. I remember texting my wife. I was like, I just really want cheesecake. And I'm thinking about walking like 5 miles to go to this Cheesecake Factory so that I can order an entire cheesecake and then take it back to my hotel where I know I will eat it by myself. But she talked me off the ledge, so.
Dude, cheesecake's like I've eaten cheesecake at Cheesecake Factory. Their food is really fucking good. Like, that's why I go there.
Yeah.
They serve the Impossible Burger, which is awesome. I mean, like, it's just good food.
Yeah, there's just not like any nearby where I live, so.
Yeah. Right
Uh,
on.
yeah, somebody in chat asked why Eastern Europe for Artifact. Isn't Valve a U.S. company? The company that ran the tournament itself was a third-party organization, and they're based out of Kiev in Ukraine. Valve, because of their stuff with Dota, has a lot of third-party orgs that run tournaments, and so this was one of them. But yeah, we definitely should wrap this up soon so that Justin can get some well needed rest.
Yeah. You know, it would be a great way to end the show.
Oh gods, I'm afraid to ask.
No, you got the messages, you got the DMs.
I mean, I guess we could do that, right?
Let's do it, man. We have, thanks to Major Broski, who has his own podcast show, a talk show, and does some pretty cool interviews. We have some pack codes to give away. And they're artifact cards. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we have two Morrowind artifact packs.
Mm-hmm. Martifact.
Yeah, around here we don't have the Cheesecake Factory because we have what's called the Grand Traverse Pie Company. It's from a company founded in Traverse City here in Michigan. And I will say this. The Grand Traverse Pie Company has some fantastic pies. Like, I feel like I'm going to get diabetes anytime I eat one, but oh man, are they so good.
Diabetes is okay.
Oh, hold on. Is that legit set to subs only? I might have to restart this giveaway. Hold on. Yeah. Stop. We're gonna clear this and then redo it. I don't know how that happened. I must have accidentally hit my scroll like wheel. All right, there we go. Reopening it. Sorry about that, gang. All right, so make sure you type it again. So what do you think of the new monthly card? I mean, I'm gonna do a video on it here soon, but I'm curious what you think of it.
I jammed it in Aggro Warrior and it was great.
Really?
Yep. I honestly think that's the best use for the card.
So just out of curiosity, what makes it great in your opinion? Like specifically, what makes it better than Iliac Sorcerer?
Trades better would be my thought. Iliac Sorcerer could also trade with a 2/3, but there are situations where I like to be totally honest with you, I ran both. I was running a catapult version and I had Iliac and I had the Elit. It's red, which I think is important. I think you can play it in other decks too. I just think it's good for what it is. It was good every time I played it.
Yeah, I'm just kind of unimpressed personally. I feel like most of the time I would rather play Iliac, and in the options where I'm running a red deck and it's not warrior, I just don't think I want like a 1/3 1-drop like that.
I mean, I played, so like I said, I was playing it in a warrior with catapults. I was playing scimitars. My 1-drops were scimitars, Elits, and Iliacs, and it felt good. Felt good. It is bad against Fighters Guild Recruit and Aldalath the Assassin, where Iliac is not. But it's just a. I mean, as far as 1-drops go, I think it does about as much as you can expect.
Yeah, when I try to compare it, I mean, it's hard, right? But I try to compare it to stuff like the Trapper, you know? That's another
Trapper's
one. Another 1/3,
Trapper's
but it's got a keyword and like another ability on top of it.
Trapper's better in a deck that can run both, I think, most
Yeah.
of the time.
So like historically, 1-drops have never been like super powerful in Legends, and rightfully so. It's a 1-drop, and you don't want the game to be decided that early. But
Yeah.
to me, the 1-drops that have always been powerful are either ones that are enablers. And when I say enabler, I mean something like either Relentless Raiders that enable a combo, or stuff like Scouting Patrol or Marked Man that enable Pit Lion. You know, like the 1-drop has to be something that enables so that it doesn't feel good if you draw it like later in the game, or in my opinion, it just has to be something that is innately powerful enough, like on its own, which is why I think about something like Iliac, because Ward is already pretty powerful. You slap like a scimitar on it, and it goes bonkers. And
Yeah.
like the Elit isn't bad, but it just historically it doesn't fit the roles that some of your other 1-drops do, right? Like there's a reason we don't run like the 2/2 1-drop, I guess is what I'm trying to say in my mind, right?
I think you wouldn't Warrior.
I mean, I wouldn't personally.
Really?
Yeah.
I think if it was purple, I might run it in Warrior. I'd run it over the Elit. All right, let's do this giveaway, man.
All right. We are gonna close the giveaway, and then we're gonna pick a winner. Congratulations, Drew Money.
Congratulations, Drew Money. You won 2 packs of Houses of Morrowind.
Must be present to win. Speak up. Say something in chat so that I can click on your name and DM you. There you go. That's
Sweet.
how it works. Do you see how he did that, gang?
Shout out again to Major Broski for hooking us up with codes.
And we're gonna pick another winner. Just like that.
Drum roll, please. Kazoo Croc.
Kazoo Croc. Is that even a real person?
Are you serious?
Is Kazoo Croc a bot? They're never hanging around my chat.
Kazoo Croc is definitely a real person.
Ian Bit says Charmer never DMs me, which is a lie, because the last time I DM'd you, it was literally with a beta code for Artifact. All right. DM sent. Congratulations.
Sweet.
This has been pretty typical of us. A lot of times we have like really impressive podcasts, and then we always kind of come down with these like low tempo ones. We need to figure out how to even it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out one day.
Yeah, one day.
This is only episode like 45 or something.
Yeah. You'd think we'd be professionals at this by now. Maybe if I started making an agenda or something.
We did that in the beginning.
Yeah, we did that, and that was not working well for us.
We used to fucking prepare questions and shit. Oh, man. I'm just glad you're back in town. I'm excited to be back doing the podcast. We're probably going to take a week or 2 off in late December, too, just because I'm going out of town, and I'm sure you got plans. But next week, same bat time, same bat channel?
Yeah, maybe Friday, now that you're done with class. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about Fridays. That makes sense.
Yeah, one or the other. Stay tuned to social media.
I bet we have some exciting stuff to talk about.
I'm hoping that we have some pretty exciting stuff.
Sweet.
Until then, it's not within our control though. But yeah, until then.
See you on the ladder.
See you on the ladder.